Welcome to the CPM Customer Success Podcast, where we help Office of Finance leaders enable an exact solution to enhance their corporate performance without spending countless nights and weekends in the office. Hi, I'm your host, Andy Smetana with Nova Advisory. Nova Advisory is a 100% OneStream professional services diamond implementation partner. We help OneStream customers and prospective OneStream customers get the most out of their OneStream investments. And for CPM customer success listeners, we now have a weekly newsletter to keep you informed on the latest CPM customer success news. By subscribing today, we'll keep you informed on episode releases, including customer success stories, OneStream interviews, and capabilities to keep you up to date about OneStream's unified platform for finance. You can check that out now at Nova Advisory's website, novaadvisory.com/podcast, and subscribe to the CPM Customer Success Podcast newsletter today. In today's episode, we're diving into a challenge that finance and accounting leaders know all too well, and that's siloed data. So today we're continuing our CPM Customer Success Planning series. On episode 64, we discussed scenario planning, where we talked about modeling scenarios during uncertain times. And in episode 65, we discussed beyond budgeting, trading rigid plans for rolling forecasts. So now let's face it, your forecasts are only as good as the data that's feeding them. And if finance is working from one version of the truth, while operations, supply chains, and other business units are working from another, well, there's your problem. You've got siloed data, and that's the enemy of finance. So that's why today we're discussing connected planning with OneStream. We'll break down the problem of data silos, expose the pain points that keep CFOs and controllers up at night, and we'll share how OneStream's unified platform helps teams tear down all those silos for good. We'll also explore two real-world CPM customer success stories from leaders in water and wastewater treatment and from a leader in the medical center provision services who've done exactly that, break down the silos. So let's jump into it. Let's kick things off with a hard truth. Most finance and operation teams are still living in silos. And I don't mean silos like the kind you find in a farm. I mean data silos. Those invisible walls that separate systems, teams, and insights across your organization. So finance has their tools. Operations has different tools. And supply chain, for instance, they have their own as well. And so that's often a completely different universe. Each is operating in their own world. Everyone's running their own systems, they're tracking their own KPIs, and they're pulling their own reports, often from data that doesn't match, doesn't talk to each other, and it doesn't update in real time. And you know what that leads to? That leads to reconciliation chaos. The moment you try to build a forecast or try to run a report, you're buried in spreadsheets. You're triple checking numbers, you're trying to track down which version is the real version of the truth. You spend days collecting data, then more days reconciling it. By the time it's board ready, the business has already moved on. If that sounds familiar, well, you're not alone. This is one of the most common issues we hear from CFOs and FP&A leaders. It's not just a workflow issue, it's a strategic roadblock. Because when your financial teams and your operational leaders are looking at disconnected data sets, they're not aligned. And without alignment, there's friction, there's miscommunication, there's delays. So here's an example. Let's say your supply chain team, they flag a potential delay. It's a delay in materials being shipped from a key supplier. But that data doesn't make its way into the forecast for 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks where finance is presenting a revenue projection that's already out of date. Multiply that by dozens of variables, changing customer demand, for instance, inflation, labor shortages, tariff shifts, and you start to see the real costs of those data silos. It's not just inefficiency, it's risk. And when market conditions are shifting fast, as they are right now, that risk gets expensive, and it gets expensive fast. Now, here's where things get even more frustrating. Most teams have the data they need, but they don't have the infrastructure to make that data work together. Finance is often stuck playing translator. They're trying to turn those operational metrics into financial insights. But what if you didn't have to translate that data and information? What if those two words and worlds, what if they actually spoke the same language? That's the opportunity. And that's where platforms like OneStream come in. Because when your systems are connected, your teams get connected. Your decisions get smarter. And your forecasts stop being static guesses and start becoming strategic tools. We'll get into how OneStream enables all this in just a minute. But first, let's zoom in on the specific pain points finance leaders are facing when data is siloed. So first up, what are some of the most common complaints we hear from those finance and accounting leaders? We'll break it down now. There's no real-time visibility is number one. By the time you gather operational data, it's already outdated. That's a killer when volatility is high and decisions need to be made fast. Number two is disconnected systems. Finance is in one tool, operations is in another. There's no single source of truth. There's only constant reconciliation. And number three, manual everything. There's spreadsheets, there's CSV files, there's late night copying and pasting. Does that sound familiar? Four is scenario planning. It's basically impossible. You want to model what happens if tariffs spike or if demand shifts next quarter, but your data just won't cooperate. Number five is everyone's working off of different KPIs. Finance defines success one way, sales defines success another. Operations has their own definition of success, and that misalignment costs you time, it costs you money, and it costs you trust. And during uncertain times, like today with tariffs, inflation, supply chain disruptions, all the things we just touched on, those gaps become real business risks. Here's how OneStream changes the game. Instead of stitching together point solutions, OneStream offers a single unified platform that connects your operational and your financial data. So let's talk about architecture. OneStream integrates directly with over 150 ERP, HCM, and CRM systems. Yeah, includes SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, NetSuite, and on and on. Here's the kicker. It's not just file uploads and compatibility. It's a direct connection with full drill back to transaction level details from your source systems. So if you're looking at a cost variance in OneStream, you can click right through to the originating purchase order, invoice, payroll transaction, whatever it might be. There's no toggling between systems. There's no waiting in IT. Data validation happens before anything gets loaded. So your team is working with accurate, complete, and governed data every time. Guided workflows walk users through the entire process, ensuring that there's consistency across your business units. And all this happens in real time. So whether you're modeling capital projects, workforce changes, or supply chain scenarios, you're doing it with actual operational data and not guesswork. So let's look at this in action with a CPM customer success story. So this is a leader in water and wastewater treatment with a complex global footprint. Before OneStream, this organization's finance team was stuck in Excel. They were manually consolidating, they had limited visibility, and no integration with their SAP environment. The big ask, they needed a unified platform to automate consolidation, streamline budgeting, forecasting, and bring operational data, things like CapEx and headcount, into their financial model. With OneStream, they automated intercompany eliminations, currency translations, and reporting. They implemented guided workflows and dashboards for consistent management reporting. And more importantly, they set up direct integration with SAP. So now, users can drill back into SAP. They can see that transactional level detail. They've eliminated the need for multiple Excel-based models, and reporting cycles are faster and more accurate. It's no longer about firefighting, it's about decision making. So this is the real promise of integrated data. Finance becomes the nerve center of a business. You're not just closing the books, you're steering the ship. With OneStream, you can model those supply chain scenarios. What if tariffs increase by 15%? What if our Mexican-based supplier sees a delay? These aren't hypotheticals, they're happening now. According to GearTrack's 2025 report, manufacturers are feeling real pressure from tariff volatility, nearshoring decisions, and a lack of visibility into their supplier risk. So to make decisions under this kind of uncertainty, you need data that you can trust, and you need it in real time. OneStream enables this by connecting your financial data, collection signals, all those operational KPIs and your financial models, and it does it in one place. So when your supply chain volatility hits, you're not reacting, you're adapting. So let's touch on another CPM customer success story. Let's switch industries for a moment. We're switching to a provider of medical centers and services. Medical centers, they face some of the most complex planning environments out there. They juggle clinical operations, research funding, tuition, revenue, and governmental grants, all with separate planning processes. At one major U.S. academic medical center, finance leaders were under pressure to support both daily operational agility and long-range scenario planning. They needed a solution that could handle fast, in-year reforecasts, support complex workforce models, and align strategic plans across schools, departments, and hospitals. So enter OneStream. With OneStream, they consolidated financial reporting, budgeting, forecasting, and capital planning all onto one platform. They leveraged solutions from OneStream's Solution Exchange, things like people planning, capital planning, to better align their workforce and investment decisions. And the result? They reduced cycle times for budgets and forecasts, they replaced fragmented spreadsheets, and gained institution-wide visibility into their financial and operational KPIs. Their finance team became a strategic partner to academic leaders, guiding their investment decisions with precision. That's what happens when you turn that operational data into financial signals. It's not just planning, it's proactive leadership. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, we need this, but where do we start? Here's the playbook. Step 1, get alignment across your leadership. So this just isn't just finance project, this is a business transformation. Step 2, audit your current planning processes. Where are the disconnects? Where's time being lost in your reconciliations and rework? Step 3, pick a high-value use case to pilot. Maybe it's your CapEx or workforce planning or your supply chain modeling. Step 4, choose the right platform. OneStream is purpose-built to unify financial and operational data with extensibility and scalability baked in. And of course, step 5, bring in an experienced implementation partner, someone who's been down that road, who's worked with customers similar in your industry. Give us a call at Nova Advisory. We've helped companies across those industries. We deploy OneStream to eliminate these silos, accelerate close and forecast cycles, and drive strategic insight at speed. We don't just implement software, we help finance teams become the strategic partner they need to become for their business needs. So let's bring this all home. Silos don't just waste time, they waste opportunity. OneStream helps tear down those silos, giving the finance and operation teams a shared view of performance, enabling faster decisions, greater agility, and better outcomes. And if your current systems are holding you back, you don't need more spreadsheets, you need a unified platform. Thanks again for joining today's episode of CPM Customer Success. And a reminder, check out the CPM Customer Success weekly email newsletter to stay informed of the latest CPM Customer Success episodes and OneStream news. You can check that out at Nova Advisory's website, novaadvisory.com/podcast, and subscribe to the CPM Customer Success newsletter today. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of CPM Customer Success.